What's going on, everyone? MikeO back here to do my Philly show recap. Philly show is back. Awesome to finally have the opportunity to attend a big show, regional sports card show. The Philly show, I believe they advertise, is the longest running sports card show in America or something like that. And it's something I've had the opportunity to attend many, many times over the last 30 some years. And it was awesome to see it back. I think the last 3 or 4 shows, whatever it's been, over the last year and a half have been canceled. This is actually kind of like a special edition that they decided to add into the schedule. Typically, they have a spring show in late February, early March, and then they do fall in September, and they do a winter show in December. So June show, awesome. Definitely a little different vibe as one would expect. It's a 3-day show, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Unfortunately, I was only able to attend Friday. Great time. Friday is the shortest day, 3 to 8 p.m., so 5-hour show, and was able to meet up with 4 or 5 YouTubers, and that was awesome. A few other guys made it there Saturday, so I wasn't able to see them, but had a blast. Had a great time walking around, looking at cards, enjoying the atmosphere, being able to shop around a little bit, see all kinds of sweet stuff, and of course, just hang out. Hanging out with fellow YouTubers is always a huge part of card shows. It's just it's a great experience. So was able to meet up with Andrew Nuff Said Cards, who's just an amazing dude, full of knowledge, has an incredible collection, a great eye for amazing cards. Big time pre-war. Make sure you check out his channel for sure. B-Roth6, same thing. Awesome dude, and a great knack for finding all sorts of awesome stuff, both pre-war and vintage and modern stuff. And he's always super active and picking stuff up. So awesome hanging out with Brian a little bit. Of course, Ed Wesker Griff, hanging out with him at the show, his brother, and then Reese ND Card Ranger. So awesome seeing you guys. Definitely appreciate you hanging out and talking a little bit about life, and of course all the awesome cards and providing advice and kind of looking out for things for each other. So it was an amazing time. Certainly the show has evolved and changed a little bit as expected. I wouldn't say it was anywhere near the level of maybe the Dallas show, at least from what I could see on camera, but definitely a little less in terms of the local dealers. I noticed many guys who were typically always at the show who weren't there, so I don't know if they got squeezed out or if they just had something and weren't prepared to do one in June. I'm not sure. We'll see if they'll be back, but a little more national exposure here. Saw some new additions like Nash Cards, and Star Stock was set up, Investa Cards, so you had a lot of that stuff going on. Not too much of the camera crews, big crews following single people, but you did see a few very expensive big cameras that were being used, of course, to get all kinds of footage for whatever they're going to be used for, whether it was for social media or some sort of advertising. A lot of Instagram people. I'm not super active on Instagram, so I don't know who those guys are, but they definitely morph all of a sudden into different characters and such, so that was kind of a little bizarre, but I mean, not a big deal. I think we expect to see that. I think the National, of course, will be crazy like that, but just had fun. It's awesome to just get back out there. Got another show coming up next week. It's a local mall show that usually attend. They've been adding more, so I look forward to that one as well, but with that being said, I only picked up 2 cards at the show, but they're pretty cool additions to the collection. So let's go ahead and take a peek at them. So the first thing I made sure I did at this show was to see the show. I just went row by row and made sure I took a peek at every table. What was catching my attention was the vintage, the pre-war, that stuff I would definitely check out. Some of the crazy modern stuff when it was all basketball or something, ultra modern, I kind of moved along very quickly, and really whack stuff. You have certain guys, of course, who have some of the retail stuff. But even the big guys that usually I would browse and check out and maybe pick up a few boxes. I mean, wax is just so expensive right now that I just kind of moved right along and didn't really pay all that much attention to it. But I was able to find a couple really cool cards for the collection, two items that I was definitely had on my list as potential pickups. So super happy to add them to the collection. Of course, you can see them right now. Both SGC slabs, a lot of SGC stuff there, a lot of PSA stuff. And of course, you always have Beckett as well. Not a whole lot of the other companies. I only saw a handful of HGA slabs. I don't even know if I saw any CSG. I did see some guys who had a bunch of GMA stuff and some other, super low end branded slabs. But a lot of slabs, of course. But what else would you expect? Anyway, let's take a look at the pickups. We got a 1934 Gaudy Jimmy Fox. It is an SGC 1. It is poor, but it is super cool. Definitely happy to add this one. Of course, you can see there's a lot of surface wrinkles in it, but the color is really strong. The centering's not so bad. Card's intact, and it is just an awesome card. Jimmy Fox, unbelievable career. One of the premier sluggers there in his day. And I just, it's a card I'd been looking at for a while and was able to get this one at a really solid price, liked the look of it, and thrilled to add it to the collection. Fantastic Philadelphia Athletic. Of course, he played with Boston as well. Actually, played with the Phillies in his final year. He was definitely nearing the end. That he was actually pitching for them as well as hitting a little bit. But just as a great Philadelphia athlete, I thought it would be amazing. And of course, I mean, you can't go wrong with a Hall of Fame player, an unbelievable player for that matter as well. So definitely a cool addition to the collection. And I think this is the direction I'm going to continue to kind of spin into. I will always collect ultra modern cards and modern cards, but I think the focus is going to continue to shift more towards the vintage stuff and pre-war stuff and just things that are more exciting. They just flat out are at this point, at least to me. I know most people would not agree with that sentiment, but I think a lot of people who are true collectors, who are true fans of the game of baseball, I think you'll see yourself evolve a little bit at a certain point, especially with the crazy prices. Like, I enjoy picking up rookie cards and some refractors and such, but there's just something awesome about this old school stuff, which is much more difficult to find. I mean, the ultra modern stuff is every other table or more, and you can definitely find that stuff. And there's just so much of it out there. This stuff is, to me, just it's catching my attention. It's keeping my attention a lot stronger. Next up, the second pickup for the Phillies collection for the Richie Ashburn run. Can't go wrong with this. A 1954 Dixie Lids Richie Ashburn seal test. It's an SGC 2. And it is super cool. So check that out. Richie Ashburn. I'm sure Blue Jacket will approve of this one. Super cool card. Super cool item. So just super neat. Just to have things like this even survive, let alone in pretty acceptable shape, I mean, it's just super cool. So I was super thrilled with what I was able to add to the collection. I would mark that down as a positive for the show. And, the show was what I kind of expected. Definitely a lot of youngins wandering around with their briefcases filled with slabs. Some of them good, polite dudes just trying to, hustle around and trade some stuff, maybe add to their collection. But definitely some guys that you could tell were new to the hobby, a little arrogant, kind of a little in the know-it-all type of vibes you got. Definitely heard some guys talking back to dealers and going bonkers. I'm sure Ed Wesker Griff will provide more details on those thoughts, so make sure you check out his video. But overall, really fun experience. Had a blast, and I cannot wait for the 2021 National Sports Collectors Convention. That's going to be a blast. If you want to hear some thoughts on that coming up, you can check out my recent episode of Hobby Talk, which I did with Baseball Collector. That one's up on YouTube, and it's all over the podcast realm as well. You can check it out on SoundCloud and Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. I'm sure it gets fed into a bunch of other podcast avenues. So check it out if you're interested in hearing that. Anyway, appreciate you guys listening to me provide some thoughts, showing off a few super cool cards that I'm thrilled to add to the collection. And I will talk to you next time. Have a great one.